Islam, 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 and welcome to MHHS Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anita L., along with my co-host, Ms. Raima Alice L.
Peace and love, Anna E. Peace and love, Moors. Happy belated day, Anna E. First season is here, so salute to you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, and guys, are you there?
Yes, can you still hear me?
Okay, yep, I can hear you. All right, and
cool.
RVBey.
Islam, peace and love to all, and yes, happy belated solar return, which was yesterday. Tell the world, that's right, Sister Anna Ada. Islam.
Thank you. We do not have Cujo today. He is a little under the weather, so he'll be probably listening, but not. He won't be joining us. And if you notice, I did not play the Kidnap Moors because I did not update it, and last week we got to update that baby Patricia is with her mother, and all is finally well. Thank goodness for that. So I didn't update it, so I'm going to try and update it between now and next Tuesday, and then play it. All right, so what we're going to do is jump right into our subject of today's broadcast. Oh, but before I do that, let's see. As you know, we no longer open the chat room because there was too much chattering going on, and it wasn't relative to the subject of the broadcast, more principles of nationality. So we are no longer going to be opening the chat room. And let's see. I want to send a shout out to our family listening around the world. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening. And thanks our callers calling in and filling up the phone lines before the broadcast even begins. And thank goodness the phone situation has finally been resolved. I'm hoping, and everyone is able to get in and listen as they used to. So let us move on to our subject matter of tonight's broadcast. It is entitled, Why Don't You Know the Difference Between Birthrights and Corporate Activity? For some time now, we have advised, shown, and proved that you are dealing with corporations. In fact, this is not hidden. With a little research, you can discover this on your own. So why don't you get this? Why do you continuously behave so you can get anything pertaining to your birthright from a corporation? Now, I got a little bit more to add on to that, but before, you have to really do the research of this land, and it does not, as Abdullah will tell you, it does not begin here. Our heritage really is worldwide. So if you're focusing your research on this Moroccan American continent, you've missed it. You've missed it. There's going to be so much that doesn't make sense, that doesn't connect, that you're going to make assumptions corporations or government, not even comprehending what government means, what government is. If you look at the history or the heritage of this landmass, what you're going to find is today it is a land of corporations only. That's all that's going on here. It's a land of corporations. These corporations are, they're not in charge. They're not the ones that determine what is. That's why we have the supreme law of the land, so that we as people can know how do you determine what is. Look at the supreme law of the land. Stop looking at statutes, ordinances, and codes, because those are not the supreme law of the land. The American, or I should say the Moroccan American Constitution, is the supreme law of the land, and that is what you need to be looking at when you are, making any kind of determination as to your nationality, your birthright, your status. It is absolutely ridiculous for anyone, and it seems to happen only with the Moors of this continent, where they go to employees of a corporation to get acceptance or validation or confirmation that the blood running in their veins is connected to a family line. What does that have to do with employees of a corporation? It has absolutely nothing to do with employees of a corporation. But because many of us have been mentally indoctrinated, and we simply will not let go of all of that false information, we made huge errors that literally cancel the proclamation, name corrections that we send out. It's like as soon as people get their name correction and proclamation, they send it out to, put everyone on notice, and then they go and say or do something that literally negates it. And the sad thing is that these things that are being done, they're being done without any type of research whatsoever. For example, I got this message, and it was talking about someone, and they were saying that our exclamation and writs are wrong because they're not formatted as court documents. I want to repeat that. Our proclamations are wrong because they're not formatted as court documents. Number one, what does a proclamation have to do with a so-called court? Did anybody bother to look up what the word proclamation literally means before they started verbally making these incorrect presumptions? I mean, that's the first thing to do. You were saying something? Go ahead.
I don't want to cut your wisdom, but if you can hear me, if it's any point where I'm breaking up, let me know. But
I sure will.
All right, cool. If we could flash back to the time when me and my mother went to the museum, the so-called African American Museum, there was.
You just went out, and you're back, but you're breaking up.
Yeah, pardon me, I got some communication problems. But
all right, you're back.
Okay, yeah. All right, so I was trying to point out the fact that the time me and my mother went to the museum, the so-called African American Museum, it was a display on exhibit, right? An exhibit where they had the handwritten draft of Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. And that was a historically preserved document on 8.5 by 14, or otherwise known as legal paper. All right, and that is a historical document in perpetuity. So I just wanted to put that in perspective in correlation with what you were just saying about it not being a quote unquote court document. It's a proclamation, as well as, you know, formatted in historical, you know, for historical perpetuity. So I wanted to point that out in conjunction with the fact that, you know, they say, oh, you can't file these papers on legal documents, on legal paper, or 8.5 by 14, when this has lawfully and historically been the norm and still is. So that's all I wanted to add on now, but I'm listening to what else you have to say about this situation. Islam.
All right, Islam. Real quick, I just want to read the definition of proclaim. It can be found in the Black Law Dictionary, page 1371. Proclaim, to promulgate, to announce, to publish by governmental authority. You must know what government is, be able to comprehend what that says. Intelligence of public acts or transactions or other matters important to be known by the people, to give wide publicity to disclose. All right, so that's proclaim, and then you have proclamation, which is the act of proclaiming or publishing, a formal declaration and avowal. So clearly, a proclamation is of a higher ranking than any so-called court document. That's number one. Number two, what are you actually, because usually if you're in a municipal venue, you're not in a court. So they're just playing games with you because they figure if you're talking to them, then you don't know they are not a court. So they will make demands of you because you're supposed to know that you're dealing with an employee of a foreign corporation on American soil. You're supposed to know that. All right? So these proclamations, the proclamation and name correction is not a court document. It is of a higher ranking. It is a lawful notice. What this person is trying to say is they want you to bring the name correction and proclamation down from a higher ranking to a lower ranking so that employees of a municipal corporation can have a conversation about it. First of all, this document, another thing, the document, the wording, a lot of times I find that people have not read the name correction and proclamation, because if you did, there would be no discussion. It's self-explanatory. That's why it is a proclamation and it is lawful notice. But people wouldn't be making these types of assumptions if they did the necessary research of exactly who is making these demands. Why? What is somebody, or what are you thinking you need to conform to? Because in every statute, ordinance, code, it tells you exactly who these things apply to. It also tells you in in the definition, if you go and look up the definition of every statute, ordinance, and code, it identifies the person, all right? Now, person is not you. It has been identified in the Black's Law Dictionary. Person, in that respect, is referring to a corporation. What happens with our people is they go in disclaiming that they are a corporation before anyone has even made an assumption or a presumption that they're a corporation. You have to let people ask a question for you to be able to then turn and ask them for verifiable documentation when they make demands on you. For example, with the right to travel, we get caught in that trap. It's a very slick trap, and many of us get caught in it. We really don't want to be bothered. Many of us are afraid, and many of us don't have enough information, and then many of us really have not thought about this. It's like you just don't want to be bothered. But look, these things, these people, they're here. They have been manifested to do a job. The job is to prepare you. So if they're in your space for any reason, it's because you need to be prepared. And if you were prepared, then there would be no issue of being afraid. It's clear. This is all about fear, and the sooner we admit it to ourselves, the sooner we can start dealing with it. How do you deal with fear? You study. You additional information. You find out who is who and what is what. How do you do that? Study. Not listening to your homegirl or your homeboy. Study. There's nothing wrong with listening to what people have to say, but it's your obligation to go and research it and find out if you are in agreement. Because I'll tell you, I have been given much information and much things to ponder from other people. And what I have found is that when I go and do the research, because I'm always asking, it's great that you're telling me about something, but where's the documentation? I want to read the documentation. I want to see if I come to the same conclusion. You'll be surprised. Sometimes you do not come to the same thing. It wasn't read or interpreted, with the sense of law in mind, so it's already off. But this is what we have to do. We have to study. We have to know who it is that we're dealing with. We have to do the research. They're not even trying to hide this stuff from us. They have it published in their state library. You can get much of it online without even leaving your home. So you're dealing with a corporation. That's all you're dealing with. So the Constitution protects all people from all corporations infringing on your liberty. So in order for you to be able to ask the appropriate question, you have to first study and know who you're dealing with. And I will end with this. Because I asked several questions, and I sent out some writs with these questions in a particular format, because my mission was to gather information. Now, as my sister Valerie has said, years ago, I would write writs that was just lamb people. You saw me coming. You had your guard up. And so I didn't get a response. But that's all right, because it still let people know I was on top of law. Today, I don't do it that way anymore. I don't go in slamming people from the door. I try to ease my way in through the door, under the radar, because I want information. My objective is to get information. So I sent a writ to a few of the municipal corporations that were around me, and I also sent a writ to the governor of the state, because these municipal employees of these municipal corporations advised me, either by word or document, that they were speaking on behalf of the state. So I sent writs to these municipal corporations asking them to provide me with the verifiable documentation of that. I've got some interesting responses. But what was more interesting is I got a response from the governor of the state, because I had a plan, I did my research, and I sent in a writ, and I asked the right question. And I did it in a particular order. So by the time they got my second request, they realized where I was going, and they hurried up and responded. Basically, they sent me a letter saying that they were in receipt of my request and that they would be working on it. Now, according to the format that I was using, they had to then respond back to me and tell me exactly how long it would take, and they didn't. So I followed up with another writ, and I thanked them for responding, for notifying me, for letting me know that they got my writ, and I pointed out that you neglected to tell me how long it was going to take for you to get back to me with this information. So it restarted the clock. They had a certain time frame to respond before I can take my next step. Within that time, my mom got sick and subsequently died, passed on. She's in a more peaceful place. So they got more time than I initially intended to allot them. But that's all right, because lo and behold, I went to my P.O. box and picked up my mail, and there was a letter from the governor of the state advising me that they don't have any documentation to substantiate the request that I had asked for. I simply asked them for verifiable documentation where they gave the employees of these various municipal corporations permission and authority to speak on behalf of the state. So they wrote me back and let me know, finally, because I was persistent and I asked the right question. They said, no, we don't have any such documentation to provide to that allegation. It wasn't worded in that way, but that's basically what it was saying. So for people who think that they're dealing with government, what you might want to do is look up the word govern, governor, and governess. And you will realize that you're not dealing with anyone who can regulate your actions and or activities. And if you ask the right questions, you will get an appropriate response. Just like Prophet Noble Journey said. He said that, right? You'll get it if you're telling you'll receive a favorable reply. So, with that, I yield the floor.
Wow. Let me just see if I got this right. Let me just cap this. So, it has been said, and it is so true, that the municipalities, which are Roman venues, which are not government, have always accosted the people and wrote up allegations. That's why the government used allegations, right? That the state versus you. See, no, we have never given such an authority because all powers are delegated. So now we have proof, and if all the people would get this as being factual knowledge, and if you don't believe it being said today, go find out for yourself because it's true. So if we all would get it, this thing would be over because there's literally Title 18, Section 241, Chapter 2, 241, 242. They're going out in disguise, accosting people. But what's worse than that is then they're writing up something saying that the state versus you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lie. Mm-hmm. That is a big, fat, juicy lie. And it should be over with now because it's a lie. So, so that's what you verify. And anyone else could if they would do the same thing. But they will not read or respond to frivolous stuff. It's not about, like you just said, the manner in which you did it. You really already knew the answer. You just wanted to be placed it in such a way. Because if you don't have knowledge, you can't do what you did and figure out the strategy of exactly what to ask and how to word it to get that favorable reply. This is, right? Hey, I think we can say another prophecy fulfilled then.
Yeah.
We could say it because you didn't mention this. This happened right before the passing of your mom also, and you had just done the class at New York, and you had broke down how they have different agencies, and you go, this one will cost you, but when you go to pay, you go to a window to pay that one, and then this one's involved, and then they got all kinds of people, corporations involved in their scam to scam you, telling you their government, and it's the law. So there was another similar on a smaller level, well, not really on a smaller level, but you had done a similar thing with a so-called ticket, and they basically wrote and said, okay, it's dismissed because you kind of used the same strategy. And now this. Yes. Yeah. And so you've got in your hand the proof, right? Yeah. But here's the key. If you don't have knowledge of the law, you can't create the strategy. And one of the things you said is that, listen, the law of this land was established so that corporations who operate on the land would not molest you. Now, that would not take advantage of you, the natural people. Now, that goes hand in hand when the prophet said, listen, if you don't enforce the Constitution, which is the national Constitution, which is the law of this land, which, by the way, is not suspended and won't be suspended. When they talk about suspend, they are not talking about the law of the land. They're talking about their little stuff. Maybe they want to succeed from the union or whatever that. But it fulfills what he said is that, look, if you do not enforce this law of the land, the American National Constitution, he wasn't talking about the bylaws. The bylaws are to be enforced also, because if you're in that temple, group, association, membership, etc., those things are designed to teach you to be better people, period, by following those things. And you can come out into the world, if you will, and be a better person and know the law. So he was telling you, if you don't know the law and if you don't answer up to the national Constitution like everybody else, you will be what? Molested by other citizens, and they will bestow upon you whatever they wish to. And that, my friends, my people, my family, is exactly what has occurred with us. So, knowing the law, you come into this, which means you got to know the law first, not figure out, oh, well, they're here to do commerce, so what we're going to do is we're going to study commerce and corporation stuff. You're not the corporation. You're the natural flesh and blood being of which these people are operating on the land, but they're not government. Period. So you can't do it unless you know the law. As a matter of fact, you can't recognize when you've been violated when the law has been violated upon you if you yourself do not know the law. Now, instead of people figuring that out, they would rather go and figure out how to go through the ropes of a corporation? What? What? That's like, really? No. And so because of that and all this time, they're like, they're coming right in on the thing. Now, Anna, can you please, I know you used the floor, but there was something else that I want to add, but before I do, we talked about how they're going into the corporate. It's not that you can't, do business or whatever like that, but if you're not in your proper person first and foremost, you're cooked. You're a goose. You're done. They're reeling you in. And one of the things you said, and Edith said, and it says that people enforcing the law, which keeps people off of them, they're going into, I forgot what the three things you called it, the things that are actually for corporations.
Yeah.
Being trust, right. Could you
Right.
brief that? All right.
In every statute, ordinance, and code, you got to recognize that these are created for, fictitious entities. So they're not constructed to regulate people. They're constructed to regulate corporate activities because it doesn't really exist. So if you look at every statute, ordinance, and code, and I did this in one of my writs to regarding the right to travel, I think I sent it to Commissioner of the Department of Motor Vehicle where I am, and I might have sent it somewhere else, and I'm pretty sure I used it in my. They have a definition section, and in the definition section, it has the definition of how they're using the word person. Now, in the definition section for person, it says if you are a corporation, association, or trust, then these rules and regulations apply to you. Now, since most people really don't comprehend they don't comprehend trust at all. A lot of people are running around they think they're writing a trust, creating a trust, doing trust activities, but they're not. You have to study and know trust, and not this modern stuff. You have to go back and really read, the principles of what a trust is. Because if you're going to do something, you need to know what it is you're doing. Today, when they create a trust, because I went through this with my mother and my father because they both have trust and they think that it's protecting them. But let me tell you what I discovered, and the language tells it all. If you establish a trust, because most people don't, the vast majority of people don't know what they're talking about when they talk in trust. They take you out of the protection of inheritance, and they use words like beneficiary, as opposed to heir. The heir keeps you in the realm of inheritance. Beneficiary puts you in the realm of corporate activity, because the beneficiary can be any live person, live being, or it could be a fictitious entity. All right? So when you listen to the language, when the owner of the trust passes, this is the language, the trust has to be liquidated. Because they're no longer here. So everything that was used for that person in that so-called trust, you can't use it once they pass. Because it's created under the rules and regulations of a corporation called a trust. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I know that a lot of people are running around here using this word trust. And you're not following any ancient principles of trust. You're doing corporate activity trust. And really, the prophet never talked to us about any trust. he talked to you about inheritance, bloodline,
yes,
lineal descent, nationality. So, modern Europeans is running around here trying to talk about they're the grantor and they're putting stuff in trust. I don't know. Well, they might be putting the clothes on their back in a trust, maybe some furniture that they acquired and some automobiles, but they could never put the land in a trust because it was never theirs.
exactly.
It was never theirs. And even today, you have a lot of people. Look, if you've been following along with the reading of White Cargo, then you ought to know that the modern Europeans not even the modern Europeans. It was the British Moors. The British Moors was given permission by way of treaty to come over here and use the land. All right? Now, the Moors was not coming over here to dig up no earth and build nothing. And we can see that from the history, from the accounts, from the heretical. What they did was they sent modern Europeans who actually literally fed off of each other. Family members, it didn't matter. They're the ones that came over here and they purchased from the crown the use of the land. So in today's language, it would be I purchased the use of a square foot of land, built a building, and I leased it to somebody else. Now that somebody else. Now I'm purchased the use from the municipal corporation, but the municipal corporation's got to pay up to somebody, right? So the municipal corporation has to pay up to somebody, say $100. So they're going to charge me $200 because they want to make profit. I have to pay them $200, and they're going to pay up to whoever the Aboriginal indigenous beings are. They're going to pay up probably $100. So they want their profit. So I'm going to charge down $400 because I want a profit too. It's all in the documentation that was given in White Cargo. Everybody was just selling their portion of the use of the land. And they were selling it for double what they had to pay. And then they got a perpetual profit amount, 20% or something like that. It said it right in there. This is the same thing that is going on today. So even unconscious Moors is purchasing the use of the land. And if they don't make the payment of use, the municipal corporation will send their employees to remove you, and then they'll start the whole process all over again. And people think that they can stop that by creating a trust, which puts you in the same category as the municipal corporation. You have to follow rules and regulations because you created a fictitious entity. If you keep it, Prophet Noble Drew Ali talks about birthrights, speaks on heritage, bloodline, nationality, nation. He never spoke about corporate activity because corporate activity has nothing to do with birthright, nothing to do with heritage, and nothing to do with nationality. Islam?
No, Islam to that. And let me say Islam. Wow. And that's important because that's what everyone is. I don't know where they got that bug from, but obviously some infiltrator that wants to keep you. It's either an infiltrator or infiltrators or people who think they are educated or think they have knowledge, who really don't. They're not dealing. They're telling you how to act like a corporation, be like a corporation, and really bringing you into that fold. And you're giving numbers to these corporations and their membership that they have, and you think that you're protecting yourself. You're not, because you're already entrusted just from birth. Because it's like the time that people put into studying that, they will not put into studying lineage, bloodline, primogeniture. They won't study none of that. They'll go straight into this corporate activity because, as we said earlier, they have been so brainwashed to believe that these corporations are government. Now, there is the case law that says corporations are a fiction. They're artificial. They have no parity with the real. Everything that you're looking for to be the answer to your freedom, first of all, is in the mind. That's the true freedom. True freedom is in the mind. But everything that you're looking for, it is already here. It's already out there. You're just not seeking it because of the mental enslavement of the mind. That's mental enslavement. That's why the prophet said, I come to take you out of your mental slavery. And because of that, you think the answer is in that which is actually accosting and taking advantage of your virtues and your ignorance. Now, the virtues are that you are the lineal descendant. You are the heirs. This is an ancestor would say. So instead of looking up those things, right, you are looking into trying to play the game or be like corporations because you think they're government. But their corporation's already been stated. So everything you need to do this is there. It already exists. It's always been there. It's just that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. It's very, very real because your mind has to be free first in order to receive. And I always say people have to have the exorcism of the lies and the falsehood that have been strangely mixed. Truth and falsehood is definitely strangely mixed. Now, some people say it's not worth the trouble because to them maybe it is not. But then in the midst of all of that, for all of those who are really trying to come up into this information, you've got infiltrators, you've got devices that are put in the way, and people who are either, again, known and want to infiltrate knowingly, and then you've got those who think they're so smart and educated and this is the way to go. I know the time period. I see them. I don't know everything. I'm never going to know everything. None of us will because knowledge is infinite, right? However, I can see time frames now, especially when you look back and you see, and I know the time frame went by maybe in the past 2 or 3 years. And let me tell you, where the so-called educated people who speak well, who went to college, who got their degree, got involved in this information. And because they were so educated, or thought they were, they sound good, they speak very well about it, and they literally led people into down this road, and they just were so convincing. And the real reason why they did it is because even they are not freed in their mind with the truth of what this is yet. They will be at some point, I trust, but even they are not. And so it's more comfortable to do that, they think. And I saw that time frame where they educated, those who went to college. Now, the prophet speaks about that in a writing it's called religious controversy, but people don't know what religion really is, so they think that's actually religion, and it's not. However, he speaks about those who are educated. The longer they are full right on, the longer they stay in the schools, the higher they will jump to defend the fact that they went to school and they spent all this money and hunky dory and all that. but they have not the knowledge, the base knowledge of what is necessary for just principles of civilization, principles of nationality. They lack those. So I saw that come up. I saw it come up, and I think we're getting the residuals of that now. And those people, like anyone else, unless they're going to bare their soul or, be out there and tell you, listen, and have enough humility to say, listen, that way was wrong or whatever like that, which most people don't do, because what comes into play then is the basic social problems that people have, or social position people have, where the ego gets involved. So now you got a lot of things working against this agitation that's coming, that is here. That rebellion is here. It's already here. But there's so many things that work against it. Now, let me give you an example of a person who may be coming in, and they may be educated and or thought they were and or influenced by, this entrapment, quite frankly, because it is an entrapment of the mind. Got an email, a person, literally, people like that, they will literally go to the state, because this happened, I'm telling you, go to the state and ask them, do they have a national identification card? And here's the kicker. The state told them, no, we don't issue national identification cards. But, of course they don't, because they can't. They're quasi-national. How can a quasi-national venue or domicile? See, they're quasi-national because they're domiciling on someone else's national domicile. They're a national, this is your ancestral estate. All right? So anyone else who's here, it can't be the national. Only those who are actually that can be that. The true national, which no foreigner could ever be that. So they're set up. And if you look that up, you'll see what a national domicile is and what a quasi. So if they're quasi-national, they cannot issue jack to you, nothing at all, period. So they told this person the truth. Now, if they are municipal, they really can't issue anything. If they are a corporation, which we are identifying, see, all of the municipalities, which are the places that pretend to be government, are the ones who are accosting the people on a local level. That's why you see municipalities everywhere you go. You can hardly, go a few miles before you visit another so-called subdivision that's imaginary, because it is. All of them are what you call municipal domiciles, and having nothing to do with you as a national. But now what's happening with the states that are supposed to be republics, because that's what this is. They're starting, as you said earlier, Annie, they're starting to throw these municipalities under the bus. And such a letter, a response letter that he just mentioned from the governor, is absolute proof of that. They're throwing them under the bus. They may have had a blind eye, but not anymore, because everybody is coming up to the plate now. This is the unveiling is what you're in right now. So back to the person who went to the state, who believes that the state was government, or even to their local, some people may go. Imagine the mindset that one would be in to find out now at this stage of the situation. I was going to say stage of the game, but this of the real situation. Who thought they were owned something? Who thought that they not own, because you can't own anything. It's all inheritance. That's the secret. That's the powerful secret. However, they thought they had it going on, or whatever they thought they had. But now they realize that this agitation that's going on now, that, man, I need to really look into this national thing, because, it's what's real. And then they go with that same mindset that many people listening have or have had. And they find out, oh, no, we can't issue the national ID. Imagine how that person would feel. They're either, if they're serious about it, they're going to get serious about it. But if they're not, they're going to be more confused than anything. And the reason why they're going to be confused is because they have not been pre-studying a subject matter or whatever, having a test. They're going to fail it. They're not prepared. So therefore, they're going to feel uncomfortable. And a lot of them might start making processes. And that's another thing that's happening. People are trying to make processes to make this birth certificate, as an example. We've been talking about this for forever. But they, instead of seeing it for what it actually is, proof of human trafficking, no, can't do that. Let's make a process to make it void. It's already void. But because you think it's issued by government, you're going to find a process to dissolve it, which means you're proving that it's a corporation. And if it's a corporation, because corporations get dissolved, you don't get dissolved. It never was you. So what people will do is start making processes doing what they think they understand. They don't have to understand it at all. So they'll make processes and process after process after process. I looked at one thing and it's like, well, what did you get back? What did you wait and pay all this finance for at the window for? And it's nothing but something that says they authenticated the birth certificate. And I'm like, what the heavens is that? It's not a viable, it's void already. So trying to find processes to void it or make it voidable. Now, void and voidable, they're two different things in law. So they're trying to either make it void or make it a voidable document when it is void from the door, ab initio, period, because of what it is. So I wanted to just say when I got the email that the people are serious. They really said, well, I'm going to the state to see if they will issue a national ID. You know, they really need that. And I'm not getting on their case for it. I understand this is where we are. And the other thing I just want to make a comment, and I'm going to yield, is you mentioned about, and this is another great example, of the educated people who think they're educated. Trust and believe they think they are. Oh no, the judicial notice and proclamation that's on the RVBey website, they're not formatted to be court documents. They're not double spaced. They're not this. They're not that. And I'm like, they're not court documents. It's a lawful notice. And then the other thing, and you mentioned that, is that when you start acquiescing to what they say you need to do under a corporation, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to make it that way, you just put yourself in a jurisdiction. You're never going to be free if that's how you see it. You're never going to be getting any true resolve if you really think that it needs to be double spaced. Well, first of all, I can understand that to a degree. You know, when you write stuff, you want to have spacing. That makes sense and all that. And you can do it if you wish to. But these are not court documents. So the person who's advising people of this is coming from what? A perspective, because maybe they worked in law, worked as an attorney, maybe they worked in the courtrooms or the courthouses, or so-called courtrooms and so-called courthouses, because they truly are meeting rooms for corporations. Maybe they did all that. And look what they're bringing to the table. They're bringing that to the proper and allodial information. And you can't tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. And other people will believe that they do because they know them to be someone who's always been employed in an attorney's office or working with a so-called law some kind of way or working at the so-called courtroom, so they must know what they're talking about. People, those are corporations. They don't know what they're talking about. But because we're coming in and we don't know, because, you know, we don't know either, we believe it. So then they go and say, oh, no, those documents aren't good because they're not double-spaced. I'm telling you, I know because I worked in the court. And then we go with that, and then we destroy that which is firm. And then one last thing is that we need to make this real clear to everyone out there. The name correction, and you might be in a better position to, because you can look at it and know if it's one letter off, because that's your measure of what you're doing. That's one of the things that you do. That's what you do. You process them, you seal them, et cetera, like that. And there will be no changes because there's no need to have any changes. Now, infinitely, we could say a lot of things. A lot of things could be said. But what needs to be said is said. And it shows unification of the family. So for someone to put out some other proclamation, we have scratched many of them. We've had people saying proclamations, and they've added the Declaration of Independence in it. We'll never forget that. They've added all kinds of stuff in it. First of all, it's in error. And second of all, there's no need to debate about it. So why not just have uniformity? Why not? And then leave it like that and show them there's uniformity in the family rather than, oh, no, somebody else made a better proclamation. What was wrong with this one? All the people who have done this process here, which is a lawful notice, why should it change to show that the family's divided? And we're not even going to talk about how it changes or what's in it. That's the reason why it just has to be a hammer down and say, okay, this is it. Because, people want to put a whole lot of stuff in it. So that's it. And that's done. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Sister Annie, but wanted to mention that.
No, you said you did that. You did. That's fine. That's great. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's a true division. And one last thing, and I don't know if I shared this with you or not. There's other people that are going around saying that our card is not good. The card that we provide, established, and there was a comment made, and of course we're not going to do name, identify who's who, because that's not what's important. In the flesh, people were in the flesh, and was excited about getting their cards that they had already just received, and they were at a place where the other people told them, oh, no, that's not what the prophet bought. But they had a card themselves, and this card that they have definitely is not what the prophet brought either, although they operate as if they're in a temple, and they call it a regency or whatever like that. And on that card, it reminds me of the card before that this other group was putting out, and it was a society group, and on the back of it, it said authorized by, what did it say, authorized by the 14th Amendment, I think it said on it. Literally, it was on the back of the card, and or the 14th or the 6th or something. And, the people who were grabbing that card up never even turned it over to see that that's what it said. So the people who were issuing it to them either did it on purpose or didn't know themselves, and neither one of those are good. Same thing with this card. Got a barcode on it. If you turn it over on the back, it says U.S.National. It's a travesty, one, to have a barcode which indicates a commercial instrument, period. I don't care what anybody says. That's what it is. Look it up. You'll see. They may convince you, because now here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, since the state being obligated to create a, what do they call it, a real ID, all right, because the real ID would ID people with their nationality. And it's why we always told you that the driver's license instrument, yeah, it got a barcode on it. It's a commercial instrument, but it doesn't have a nationality on it. So it never was an ID. So since they're being forced to do that, the corporation, because they're corporations, not the state is not issuing that. Corporations are. But the state, as we just said, is getting ready to cut everybody loose. They're getting ready to cut all these agencies, these municipalities, the programs that feed them, these municipalities and agencies. They're being cut like a pair of scissors. You know how they cut the ribbon when they open something new? Well, they're being cut, it ain't opening, it's closing. They're being cut and thrown under the bus. So if these corporations, the people, want to continue to think it's government, because if you prop them up, they're going to suck your blood. They're going to suck you dry. if they should decide they're going to have a card that has a barcode on it, and if you should agree to that, that's on you. That is sad, but that's on you because the barcode means it's the initiating entry of any product. It actually makes it a commercial instrument, period. And so somebody must be convincing people that that's okay. Again, they're coming from the corporate standpoint, for real. And the other thing, as I said, if you flip the card over, it says U.S.National. That's even more of a travesty. But the people who get it don't read. They don't look at it. They're so enamored maybe by the barcode, because I saw one on YouTube. Yeah, bam, they turned the card over, says your card, do this, and all this great loaded information came up, and the person thought it was cool. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, damn, it says right here, U.S.National. Don't they see that? No, they don't see it because they're enamored with something else. It's like a trick, like a hand trick. So, I just wanted to make that clear that, you really need to go back to the mindsets of your ancient foremothers and forefathers who, by the way, are the mothers and fathers of civilization and civilization principles. What you're working with today, as Anna E. said earlier, on the land, are corporations and corporation principles that cannot make, nothing can change your descent nature. Remember, that's what's trust. That is very important to know those things right about now. Islam, I yield.
Islam. Islam, well, y'all nailed it. I just wanted to add on a few things. I don't think it's imperative to go over everything y'all just did because you made it very clear. But if y'all don't mind, I just would like to add on and express some things I was thinking about because there's some things on my mind that are correlative to what you were saying about certain people saying, this is not right from RVBey and that's not right. And I realize I'm going to be honest completely. I just want to get this off my mind. All right, so let's look at this, right? Noble Drew Ali said the media is one of the most powerful weapons or tools that is in the hands of us today. And he was saying this in, the early 1900s, the 1920s. You know what I'm saying? And think about it. Back then, media wasn't so accessible as it is right now. So, the biggest weapon in our hands is actually on steroids right now, or has evolved, enhanced. And with this being the case, you got a lot of house Negroes, excuse me for explicitly saying it like this, that put on fezzes and then turn their backs on Moors. And I got to be real specific. Sanetta to RVBey, these lames who have blatantly knew the truth and turned around and disrespected Moors. And they mad because they say, Moors say we not black, but they got people, and they say it themselves, deaf to the Negro. But Negro and black mean the same exact thing. So that's not a valid premises. And send this into them. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Y'all could cut this out, excerpt this part. I really mean this. So that's not a valid position. Now, I don't know. I stopped watching a lot of yellow journalists. Shout out to Cujo for bringing that to the attention. You know what I'm saying? But I see a certain slander campaign that has been going on, and these heads could be taken with one swipe of the scimitar. You know what I'm saying? But at this point, they're just talking heads, and the shit that they say is definitely going to come back to bite them. Example, and case in point, you got a lot of house Negroes who don't have shit to talk about. They don't have information. Thus, all of their videos is them sitting directly in their house like house Negroes talking shit. Excuse my expression, but not really, okay? About Moors, Taj, RVBey, that they got all this right and exact information, and, you know, we've been doing it wrong type of thing. You know, and it's just sad that these people have nothing to talk about to the point where they try to destroy, you know what I'm saying, those who have been putting out truth, not even falsehood, truth and facts that they haven't seen, been projected on a wave like it has been today. And acknowledgement to everybody who came before, I was even born. Salute to you all. But, like, the shit y'all be saying sometimes, I don't get it. Like, trying to bash Moors, trying to defame Moors, slandering Moors, I'll give you a case in point. I heard a clown say that they wanted to see RVBey, manifest, we can't talk about a nation because, we just want to see one street, one block. That's how foreigners think in other people's homeland. Like, we home, North, South, Central America, all of it we talking is ours. The nation is ours. I mean, I've seen projects, neighborhoods, communities where there is nothing but Moors, bottom line. And the fact that, whether they was conscious or not, that we've seen how the mentality of conquered Moors has trickled down to where, everybody can live in the same quote-unquote project and block and all of this. That's already happening. I want to come – I've been in everybody's city, and you know what I'm saying? I see the fact that, Moors collectively in ghettoized communities that Europeans used to be tenants of, right, now are, quote-unquote, their landlords. And I don't think it's just to put it on any one person, whether it had been Noble Drew Ali, because the claim was, Noble Drew Ali had everybody living in one community. That's not national mind state, because nationality transcends borders and blocks and streets and all of that. So to even try to put the prophet in that category, because he was saying that there was temples open in 15 different quote-unquote states. He didn't focus on one city and say this is the example of nationality. That's what foreigners do when they move into lands that are not theirs. As Prophet Noble Drew Ali stated, chapter 47 of the Holy Quran, the Moorish Holy Quran, Circle 7, clearly states the geographical boundaries of the Moroccan Empire are ancestral estate, which correlates with status. Status and estate are synonymous. So to take the position like, you know what I'm saying, we need to buy our own land back is asinine. It defeats the purpose of Prophet Noble Drew Ali even waking us up to nationality. And I'm not the one to be like, the world owes us everything. We do owe ourselves a lot. But nonetheless, it defeats the purpose of nationality to feel as though you have to buy what's already yours back. That right there, when you see that, you know what I mean? Because we're talking bloodline inheritance, connection to the land. You don't see Chinese in China talking about we need to buy everything in China back. From who? It's their ancestral estate already. And if you want to go deeper than that, it's Moors too. You know what I mean? If you want to be anciently, accurately, politically correct. All right, but we're talking about for modern day purposes. You know what I'm saying? You don't see them do that. They more so internally independent, autonomous, thus able to interface with other nations, period, on national principles. So, you know, only a retard will look to buy back what's already theirs. You know what I'm saying? And Noble Drew Ali said, I brought you the title to your vast estate. So, you know what I mean? If that's the case, right, and you're recognized to your to a land by the appellation that you bear, you know what I'm saying? And then it's in being yourself. How did he begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? Not members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, but how did he begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? By teaching them to be themselves. And mind you, when Prophet Noble Drew Ali kicked this thing off, he wasn't just limited to an institution, like to one building. He moved throughout the land. So that's like saying, you know, if everybody got to move to quote-unquote Baltimore for you to believe about nationality or to have a certain demonstration, you know what I'm saying, that would be equivalent to saying that Prophet Noble Drew Ali failed because he moved westward out of so-called Newark, New Jersey, to go out to the Mecca. You understand? But don't ever forget where he started at. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. So when you have Moors who take these childish points of view because they need attention, I don't know where their women is at. I don't know if they get attention from women or attention from YouTube, but they need it from somewhere. You can tell that very clearly because it's homoerotic to continuously try to discredit other people, specifically women. That's some homo shit. I'm not used to that. I know, like Barack Obama said, you know, the tale of how we suffer, or how James Baldwin said, you know, how we suffer, how we delighted, and how we make triumph is never new. You know what I'm saying? But that's relative to the women. But to consistently try to bring down sisters, you have to be homoerotic or have not have received reciprocated love from the Creator. Because these dudes worship other men. They want to be just like other people. And don't get me wrong, I get inspired by a lot of our brothers. I salute all great Moors, and I mean that. You know what I'm saying? When I see Moors doing good and doing great, I get inspired, man. That's how it's supposed to be, because we're like cells in a body. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if it's something foreign that enters a body, there's going to be a group of cells that congregate to rid out the foreign substance in that particular body. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say that there's a collection of activity that oust out foreign activity. You know what I mean? And they inspire each other for a common goal to get rid of the foreign entity that invades the body, or the body politic, right? So I'm seeing it like that, and I'm like, as much knowledge we've absorbed, as much great master teachers that you claim you know, that we know you know, we've seen them come on your platforms and all of that. How dare, you know what I'm saying, you act like you have nothing else to talk about, you know? So case in point, even with Sinetta, who is RVBey's daddy, I'll say that like that, he had to come out and come clean about this, about some of the stuff he did, you know, and I have no firsthand knowledge of this, but it's a case in point that everything you hear isn't always true. And what do I mean by that? When those accusations were Bambaataa hit, I know as a Moor, I never heard of those. I never, as many years as we've been attending the class, I never heard of anything like that about Bambaataa. I was surprised when people told me that they did hear about that before. I'm like, well, damn, why was nothing said? But nonetheless, being a Moor, I'm like, I don't know, because I know that there's media ops going on. So benefit of the doubt, you know, I don't know. So here we are, 360. Sanetta put out a video the other week talking about he don't know if the people he allowed on his platform accusing them of what they did are actually right and exact, because now they're accusing Sanetta of setting them up. Real talk. You feel me? But I'm like, that's what you get for being an op. You know what I'm saying? Without examining all the facts and then coming out with the story. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that these thirsty yellow journalists, his son Taharka as well, you know what I'm saying, who's trying to come at RVBey, because we will take your head. Like, and I mean that in a metaphysical way. We watch these clowns on YouTube, and it's funny. You know what I'm saying? It's funny to a certain point, but it's sad too, because I can guarantee you, you know what I'm saying, that his relationship with women is not that great. There's no way a brother, I mean, there's certain things we know how the sisters do. We know. She will never, you know what I'm saying, catch us like publicly trying to intentionally publicly destroy the image of a woman. You know, if they do that themselves, they do that themselves. But it just makes me wonder, you know what I'm saying, about like, who are these people for real? So my thing is this: when you got assholes talking about, oh, that's not the Moorish flag, you know, that's the Moroccan flag, and, you know, this, that, and the third, I get it, but it's like, yo, why are we Moorish Americans? The shit is in the 101s. It's because we're descendants of Moroccans born in America, so you can't diss Morocco or Moroccans, period. You know what I mean? So we know that we are who our foremothers and forefathers were, without doubt or contradiction. You know what I'm saying? And to document that present day after all the spells that's been put on us as a people, you know, i.e. the Negro spell, the black spell, the colored spell, African American spell, all of these quote-unquote spells or words that are misrepresentations, we have the absolute right to break those spells by communion and speech. And I suggest that you look at the John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law and look up the definitions of rights, because in there it talks about the right to communion and speech and writing and print, meaning we can all say the same exact thing, and that is a lawful position. Case in point, there's been a lot of frivolous concerns, specifically when it comes to Moors who are actually exercising the 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I'm emphasizing freedom and justice. You know what I mean? Because in the midst of doing that, there's been multiple attacks within that, like dumb shit like, oh, well, your claim isn't accepted because it's on 8.5 by 14 paper. And I'm looking like, fact is, the Declaration of Independence was written on 8.5 by 14-inch paper. You know what I mean? That's recognized. Why wouldn't it be? So when you take frivolous positions or frivolous claims and frivolous stances on our movement towards or inspired by freedom, you understand, then, you know, the shit is non-relevant. But as far as a street, as far as a block of all Moors, we've seen that in many projects. You know what I'm saying? You got projects in so-called New York that are 40-plus stories high? Where's your humanitarian work? Where's the Moor Science Temple of America's missionaries for that work? Show us that. Don't worry about what we're doing, because I know blocks, and everybody knows about Moors and have no fez. They don't have a fez, but they know about Moors. You know what I mean? They know about their constitutional rights. I know that. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, where's the missionaries at? RVBey wasn't charged with everything the Moor Science Temple of America was charged with by Noble Drew Ali. You know what I mean? Basically, we were doing it because y'all were not. Y'all were not. Y'all did not. You didn't do it. You just didn't. Don't be mad. You know what I'm saying? That y'all flopped. It's a wrap. You know what I mean? And this movement is not confined to any brick or mortar or building, period. Period. It's just not. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, if you got small-minded people, house Negroes, who only are relevant, and I do mean only relevant on YouTube, you know what I'm saying, and barely even relevant on that. But nonetheless, if their mentality is, nobody can be talking about nationality unless, you know what I'm saying, everybody is on one block or one street, the shit is retarded. We've been there. Dealing with nationality allows the mental to transcend that and deal with a continent. Until y'all get there, y'all not dealing with nationality, period. Because, you know what I'm saying, that's like being punked off like somebody getting robbed for their chain and then buying it back. You know what I'm saying? It's the same concept with your ancestral estate. Like, it's already ours. Until y'all realize that, don't talk to us about nationality. Don't make no comparisons with us. Don't do that, because it's not right and exact, and we could go all the way in on y'all. And you know what I'm saying? But I've been in quote-unquote so-called Baltimore, and I've seen more unity amongst those who don't know about nationality. And I got footage. So don't even play with us. That's all I'm saying is just don't play with us, fam. Where's your missionary work? Where's the MST of A outside of being, and don't get me wrong, salute to all true Moors who are doing their best in the Moor Science Temple. Cujo, for example, you know what I'm saying? But how does it resonate? Because he's dealing with nationality, which transcends borders. It transcends borders. So the European has created their reality for them from the world that they live in, right, to the land that they're on. It's all based off of artificial and literally void art, because they carved out maps, which, you know what I mean, really don't have validity. You know what I'm saying? In natural law. So when we're talking nationality and birthright, that's natural law. That's dealing with the law of nature. That does not change. That supersedes any man-made idea, design, quote-unquote statute or law. It transcends and goes beyond all of that. So all I'm saying is, in these days, don't be impressed because somebody put a fez on and is trying to talk to you about more science with frivolous arguments about the difference between Moorish and Moroccan. And in the 101s, it tells you the reason why they're Moorish American is because they're descendants of Moroccans born in America. So, I mean, when you see stuff like that, just know these people are clowns. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Literally buffoons. Not even court gestures, just buffoonery at its finest. You know what I'm saying? For YouTube. So, Europeans, they already know this is not their land. And, you know, they know that Moors, you know, especially those who are impressionable by the influence Europeans having dominion, right, even though they don't, they would rather remain conquered with no fight. You know what I'm saying? I'll put up fight straight up, and I'm not ashamed about none of that. You know what I mean? Because there is a certain level of or levels of respect that go with that in the political arena. Even if you're dealing with Romans who are de facto, they know the difference between the true and living and the civilly dead, or the civil litter mortus. But they've always had what they called, and quote me on this, y'all, quote unquote, Negro favorites. Go back and read J.A. Rogers, Nature Knows No Color Line. Negro favorites or puppets, you know what I'm saying, that they utilize. It's crazy. But nonetheless, we here. We standing on nationality and birthrights, principles of nationality in action, right? So for the yellow journalists, you colored folk, yellow journalists, like, just stop it with the stupid stuff. Like, we know that the Pilgrims have, you know, assaulted our nation, bottom line. But don't act like it's just because we call ourselves Moors. Like, you got clowns putting up videos like, oh, you know, a Moor tried to show his ID and it says what happened. Like, how many so-called black people been shot down in the street? All right? So don't even try to take it there. That's super lame. There's footage of the police literally saying they only kill black people. Like, that's documented fact, right? And we know we're not Negro, black, and colored. Bottom line. So, yeah. This is just what I wanted to share that's on my mind. I also wanted to bring light to a fact that in the Circle 7 Holy Quran, Noble Drew Ali spoke about lawyers, doctors, and scribes being useless cumberers of society or tumors on the body. And I find it interesting, in the press of Atlantic City, Friday, September 29th, 2017, there's a case involving a quote-unquote doctor, Dr. Kaufman. And I find it interesting, they noted that I think this was his second appearance he had to make at the quote-unquote Atlantic County Superior Court. And this is what they say. I'm reading straight from the article. It says, the endocrinologist appeared for his post-indictment arraignment in an orange jumpsuit, his hair completely white, a stark contrast to his first court appearance in June. Kaufman wore thick-framed glasses and carried a copy of John Grisham's Sycamore Row as he took to his seat next to his attorney. So I'm like, well, what kind of statement would a doctor be making by coming to quote-unquote court bearing a copy of a book called Sycamore Row? And we know about the sycamore trees. I'm going to do more research into that. I am. But I found it very notable that out of all things he could have came to court with, a so-called court, he came with a copy of a book called Sycamore Row. Why is that? And they noted this in the article. So, you know, it's just different things on my mind. And then like, in conjunction with the yellow journalists who try to discredit Moors, like Taharkas, the work Sinetta has done as far as trying to discredit Moors. The Europeans have done the same thing. There was a time where they was trying to call Moors paper terrorists, and it's so frivolous and irrelevant because I'm looking at it like, well, damn, just this weekend, a couple days ago, you know, they said that, and even though this is a lie, but they quote unquote claim the deadliest shooting in U.S. history happened in Las Vegas. And these are the real terrorists. Like, literally, you worried about a so-called, like, they made up some whole new stuff, quote-unquote, paper terrorists, right? This is what they said, right? But there's real European, quote-unquote, terrorists in blue suits, calling themselves policemen, in plain clothes, and, you know, who else knows? But the focus, the shift, the reality of it is, yo, Moors are living in the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which is based in autonomy. Don't come to us talking from no slave perspective about what you don't got and how you want everybody to come live on the same block as you. That's not going to happen. Get yourself a wife and a family and live peacefully. Get your house in order, as Noble Drew Ali said. You know what I'm saying? These lessons are for you to get your house in order. This world is too big for everybody that's trying to be living on one block as the ultimate goal. We've seen that. We've experienced that. Like I said, projects, communities, neighborhoods, Moors have experienced all of that. And it's not that we shouldn't be experiencing that. But, like, if that's where your mind state is at, it's like, it reminds me back again when we was in the museum. There was a specific writing on the wall, and it was from a slave petitioner. And he was saying, like, we have no property, no none of this, but yet we still have the right to our freedom. Like, look, man, like, get yourself together, because we see through all of that. You know what I'm saying? You got men who've hit 50, and I know this is a lot. This is no disrespect, because there's a lot of people struggling right now. And, yeah, that aspect of the support system is needed. But if your ultimate goal as a nation is to take over one block in one street, you're sorely mistaken if you think you're on the path with nationality. That's just not what it is. Nationality has not ever been about one block or one street. It always has been way more expensive than that. So, you know, I'm looking at it like still have the Negroid mentality of, you know, just that one block, one community, one street type of thing. And we're saying, I know I'm saying that when I look at the map, you know, I know Earth is our home. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and even on the political level, we could just say the Western Hemisphere, North, South, Central America is our home. And I refuse to see it any other way because it's not consistent with nationality. So that's what I wanted to speak on or mention, because Negroids are getting a little too out of hand with trying to slander. You understand? And on frivolous matters, like super frivolous matters. The bottom line is this: if you want to be up under the U.S. jurisdiction, all people have the right to consent. That is your choice. But you don't represent an entire nation. You might be a microcosm reflection, but everything you say is not what it is just because you said it. So that's my thing. You know, just stop getting up there making yourselves look retarded. I stand on every word that I said. And with that, for right now, I yield the floor. I can bury them with a lot of different facts, but we've done that many times. So for now, I refrain and yield the floor. Salam.
What we do now is we will, you were saying something?
What did you say?
Were you saying something?
No. I just said it's gone to that. No, I'm good.
Oh, all right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open the lines and take calls. If you have a question, comment, or concern, please press 1 on your telephone dial, and we'll take the calls in the order that we receive them. So we have caller 727-286. You're live on the air. Please state the operation at Northwest Mexico. All right. Next caller 510334. You're live on the air. Please state your operation at Northwest Mexico.
Islam. This is Anthony Bey with calling from Khalifa territory, or actually Morocco.
Thank you.
Islam. Great show tonight. You really dropped some gems. I was just wanting to express how much I appreciate all the broadcasts, and tonight seems to unlock when you shared that you asked questions of the municipalities, and I guess my thinking was before that a writ had to be complicated, and thank you.
You said that a writ doesn't have to be complicated? Is that what you said?
I mean, I thought that it had to be I tend to overcomplicate things in my mind, and the way you expressed it really helped in that sense. Thank you.
All right. What's your sun sign?
Aries.
Oh,
Aries,
okay.
and my moon is Scorpio, and my ascendant is Libra.
Okay, all right. I was looking for some Virgo in there too, but Scorpio will do that as well. All right, yeah.
Yeah, Scorpio would do that as. Okay.
Well, yeah, because Scorpios are natural resurrectors. You know, they fix things that are wrong, but in order to do that, you have to be able to analyze many options, and that's why the Scorpio and the Virgo, that's their relationship, so to speak. So if you're gonna fix stuff, and resurrect things that others can't fix, you have to have some analytical skills in order to be able to have those options.
Okay.
But I'm glad that you got it, that it's not as complicated. But the reason why it's not complicated only comes when you know the law. See, a lot of, I think, from a psychological point of view, I think it was mentioned earlier by Annie Ed about the fear that we have, which literally for us, when we say fear, and make a point of it, it literally means to us false evidence that appears real, and that's what has happened. And so it's complicated. It becomes uncomplicated when you actually know what is and what is not. Then you can truly have all kinds of strategies going on. But when you don't know, what guides you is, we've all been there, is the fear or the false evidence, that which we think is real, their government or whatever like that. So once you have that clear in your head, you can do what the sister's talking about, and you already know the answers to the questions that you are posing. You know what I'm saying? You really do. And, you just get them to admit it. Remember, the prophet said that, they're going to tell the truth. Well, this is the time before when the truth is being told, but you have to know how to ask the right question to get the truth. You know what I mean? Because it's there. It's there. But you will not see it. Otherwise, then all you're going to have is your emotions and your fears and, yada, yada stuff. You know what I mean? You got to be very fixated. Thank you for your comment on that.
Islam.
Islam.
Peace and peace. Peace and love.
All right. Peace and love.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Caller 972-839. You're live on the air. Please state your affiliation at Northwest America. Islam.
Islam.
Wow.
Islam. All praise. Islam. Praise. All praises to.
What happened? Did he drop out?
Islam.
We can't hear you.
It's God.
All right, we'll come back. All right, caller 901-422. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest America.
Islam.
Wow.
Islam. I am Kamari RVBey, calling it Morocco, Tennessee territory.
That's fine.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you.
Islam. I am Kamari RVBey, calling it Morocco, Tennessee territory.
All right.
I'm getting bad reception. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
We hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I just want to say, I want to say that y'all are doing a great job. I have recently become aware of my Moorish American nationality, and I am a hostage. I am currently being held hostage against my will. I've been kidnapped for 10 years now, and I've been fortunately able to tune in to y'all's show, and I'm learning so much from you all, and I want to have y'all to continue doing what you're doing, because you're helping a lot of us natural people, and I just want to congratulate y'all on the job that you're doing.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And I'm learning. I'm learning so much from y'all. And like I said, I've recently, within the past 2 years, become aware of my Moorish heritage, and I'm standing on it. And even though I'm a hostage right now, I'm in the process of taking on my true identity as far as who I am, where I come from, and I'm standing on that. And the more I'm learning, the more I listen in and the more I tune in, the more I'm encouraged to do so. I just want to thank y'all. Islam.
Wow.
Trust you to keep doing some good. But before you go, let me ask you this one question.
I'm listening.
You said you like dealing with the Tennessee Corporation. Like,
yeah, I'm being held hostage. I'm being held hostage as we speak.
All right. Let me ask you. Are they holding you at Fort Pillow?
No, I'm at. Yeah, I heard of Fort Pillow. I'm at Northwest Tennessee prison right now.
Okay. All right. No, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah. We're not even going to ask, but obviously, it's good to be called in. Obviously, there's some freedoms, I guess, or somehow. You don't have to answer, but we're glad you called, and trust you work your way out.
Yes, I'm in the process of doing that as we speak. I'm in the process of doing it. My brother Mario RVBey is teaching me and guiding me through the process.
Absolutely, yes. He's a good brother.
Well, you're in good
Yes, he
hands.
is.
Cool.
What did you say, Anna E? He's in good hands?
I said that you're in good hands.
Yes, yes.
Come again?
I said you're in good hands. You got a great guy.
Yes. He guided me. He teach me well.
All right.
Islam.
All right, Islam. Thank you so much for your
Peace
call.
Peace and love.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. Our next caller 206775. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Alexa.
Mariam Bay. I'm in the Moorish territory. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm in the Moorish territory. So I called in because you guys are amazing. You know that. But I recently used some of the things that I learned, and it was pretty incredible. And at first I was a bit doubtful, but I have no doubt that and it's real, just study. I had to study because I'm a skeptical person. I always think that, it's not something. But now that I've studied and I looked at laws and read things that I should have read, my entire life, it's really, really inspiring, actually, that I have power, and just of self, and it's giving me power for real. So I think you guys know what you're doing for people, but really you're really doing it for me. You've really done a lot for me and for my child. So thank you. And I have some studying that I'm doing now, and sometimes I feel like I need some direction as far as what I'm studying. Some things will come at me, and I don't really know how to look at it. So I wonder if you guys have any suggestions as far as, study, things to study or not to study, or I should be getting into at this point. Hello?
Well, I'll tell you that the best foundation to study continuously is the Constitution. Look up words. Do not assume that you know the meaning of things, because you don't. And if something is overwhelming, either break it down into a smaller piece and analyze it, or just walk away. Maybe it's just not time for you to study that particular piece. So there's so much that is to be studied. So it's not like you can miss it. You'll be brought back. Everything is connected. You can't miss anything.
Yeah. That's most definitely what I've been seeing, is that everything is connected. You really can't deal with one thing without dealing with it all. So I think that's maybe why I get a bit, put off a bit. But that's done now. That's over with. I had really played with this information, I will admit, because I had several people bring this to me, and I always just say, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. But I had the Employment Security Department try to garnish my wages at my job, and I had to send them some documents, and in 5 days, they was telling my job, please terminate the garnishment. Please don't take this woman's money, because I was on them that hard. Like, hold up, you're violating my constitutional rights. Are you crazy? Like, what's really going on here? 5 days. Even the director of the HR department at my job was like, whoa. She said, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen someone get a garnishment taken off of their name. It was really deep. It's really deep for me still.
Well, what a lot of people don't know is most garnishments are unlawful. They're not.
Absolutely.
They don't go through a court. They go through. You have employees of these municipal corporations who sit down and they have discussions and they say, send this out, and and because the vast majority of people don't know law, don't know anything really. I don't care how many cute little letters you have after your name, you still don't know nothing. So they can. It's like a couple of years ago, they used to have a whole slew of collection agencies, and if you really paid attention, you can tell many of them were started up in people's homes, and they were so bogus. But one thing the reason they got away with it, which is why many of what's going on, they can get away with it, is because you can call up somebody, you can sound very official, and you can tell them that, they owe X amount of dollars and you're trying to collect the debt, and if you don't send something, they're going to take you to court. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, people will right over the phone.
Yeah.
They will send you money. They will give you their debit, credit card information. They will, because.
Oh, I was about to do it. I was about to pay the debt. I was going to pay it.
Right.
That's how crazy it was.
I don't even know you. You just substantiated it. And
I was going to pay it because I didn't want the drama. I didn't want the drama at my job. I didn't want to look bad, and it was a substantial amount of money, and my boss was looking at me like, the type of industry we're in is, I was going to pay it. And I just made one phone call I made to the Unemployment Security Department. After I hung up, I was like, I'm not paying nothing.
It's bogus. And a lot of people don't know that. I sat in, sometimes it's good to go to some of these hearing meetings, because it's not court. So people need to stop. They need to stop calling these municipal venues courts, and they need to stop calling these employees of municipal corporations judges, magistrates, all of these words that denote some valid seating. They're none of that. It's like going to Walmart and somebody is demanding finance from you, and you give it to them because you don't know that they can't do nothing to you. They really can't. So,
yeah.
But years ago they had collection agencies. They were so many of them. They were so cheesy. You could tell by the paper. Some of them, this was back in the daisy wheel printer days. Remember, Rob, the daisy wheel printer? They would send you a demand for income, and they didn't even take off the sides of the paper, because you print it, and then it had the perforated edges, and you take off those and send. They didn't even take that off. They just left it on it. It was so cheesy and so bogus. But as cheesy as they were, they got a lot of people sent them money.
Yes.
It
was a great learning experience for me. It taught me so much to just read, and look words up in the dictionary, because even the paperwork that they sent, it was in a language that was not familiar to me. So I'm looking at the document like, what are they talking about? And so I had to really break it down and look up words, and I'm like, wait, no, this doesn't make any sense. And and then I looked up all the laws, all the RCWs that they put in the document, and it's talking about corporation this and corporation that, and I'm like, what?
And you're not the corporation, right? You knew that, right?
Right. Come on.
That's the whole point. And you know what else you're bringing to the light here? is that, it's been said, man does not know by being told. And once you, at that point where you decided, for whatever reason, that you were going to take this direction, no one could give you the experience that you just had, and you can't really give it to anyone else, now can you? It's something they have to do on their own, isn't it? Well,
I've tried to take the documents. I've tried to take my documents, right, and show it, because I got a reply back from them with, like, the official reply back from the unemployment department. So I showed a couple of my coworkers what I sent them and what their reply was. But, again, it's in a language that they cannot understand, as I couldn't understand until I studied. And so I couldn't just show them, oh, this is how you can get them off your back, because I can't show them.
That's right. Well, honey, the word of study, here it goes. There it is.
You can't show them. You can't even have a conversation about it, because they don't have the same. They don't have the information, and references. So they're going to look at you and be like, it's just a once in a, it was just a fluke, or they just won't comprehend it at all.
No comprehension at all. So I thank you all for that. I thank you all for that, because I had never really looked at it. I never took that time. I never took the time, but I called in a while ago, and I had got some things for my daughter, and I was giving her direction, and for some reason I got stuck on it, and then this dropped into my lap, dropped into my mailbox, and I was just very prepared. I was very prepared for it. If it would have happened 8 months ago, I probably would have paid. I probably would have gave them my money.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
What a demonstration of it. I was going to say, the universe gives you what you can handle at that time, and you just said it. You're like, well, I happen to be doing something for my daughter, and that led me to have to study something. And after that came, and only because I had studied these other things for someone else, I was prepared to take that on. Otherwise, I would have done something different, like acquiesce to it. Wow, such a perfect demonstration tonight. Thank you for calling in and sharing.
I appreciate you all.
Thank you for taking the information and studying and applying it.
Mm-hmm.
I yield the floor, and I hope you all have a good evening.
Oh, thank you.
Indeed.
Insla.
Wow, that's wonderful.
All right, so we have one more caller. If you have a question, comment, or a concern you would like to put it on the table, press 1 on your telephone dial, and we'll take the next caller. Caller 214-565. You are live on the air. Please state the appellation at Northwest America. Uh-oh, what's going on? Are you there? No. All right, there we go. Caller 214-565.
Islam, can you hear me?
Islam, yes, we can.
Brother Shakur.
Islam, indeed. I was on my other phone, and I will get what, though. As the old saying say, once you try, and then they put a thumb and try and try again. I am Abdul Malik Sabir Shakur. I'm calling from Northwest of Mexico, the Texas Republic territory. I'll shout out to Anna L., to RVBey, to you, Miz. Peace, brother. I don't hear Cujo on the line, but I know he's listening, or he's going to get the playback. Don't worry about Sinetta. stories that are told, stories that are passed around. If there's not no root in the ground, then Mother Earth herself will destroy it.
Yeah, I just want to say this too. Mm-hmm. I never was worried about him. It just was a revelation.
I know you weren't.
Yeah, facts.
That's
Indeed.
a fact. That's a
just
fact.
revelations. That's all.
Islam. Everything that you all are stating tonight is like the seed been planted in the ground. For those who want to come up from Mother Earth the correct way. Are you a national? Are you natural? Are you part of the U.S.A. corporate person? You must know that the Constitution is a written instrument. As such, its meaning does not alter. That which is meant when it was adopted, it means now. You can look up the law that has been challenged. South Carolina versus U.S. 199, U.S. 437, 448, 1905. And it's what today? And we're around the corner from 2018. The United States has no inherent power of sovereignty. And only those enumerated in the Constitution. The manifest purpose of the 10th Amendment was to put beyond dispute the proposition that all powers not so granted were reserved to who? To the people. Who are the people? The Moors. Why are we Moors? As you stated earlier, Mir, we're descendants of Moroccans, born in America. I am a Moor. Are you? Do you know who you are? Do you know who your forefathers and foremothers were, which you are today? The disobedience of ignorance have chose over those to consume them with an itchy ear to listen to those reprobates, to conglomerate those and put into their so-called congregation and to disembowel their mind and twist their spirit, that they go forth into the world with inaccuracies. But the heart of the vain is troubled, while it seems content. His cares are great than his pleasures. His solitude cannot rest with his bones. The grave is not deep enough to hide it. He extended his tongue beyond his being. He bespeaketh praise to be paid when he is gone. But whosoever promiseth deceiveth him, as the man who engages his wife to remain in widowhood, that she disturbeth not his soul. So is he who expected that his praises shall reach his ear beneath the earth, or cherish his heart in his shroud. Do well while thou live, but regard not what is said of it. Content thyself with deserving praise, and thy posterity shall rejoice in hearing it. These words are coming from the Holy Quran, Circle 7. Mother, without you, there would be no life in us. And you are the teachers and the guiders of this whole world of Allah's plan. Fathers, love your wives, protect them, listen to them, for you would not be here if it wasn't for the womb of life and prosperity. For the ears that can hear and the eyes that can see, but those who have scale upon the eyes, if they'll walk in light and in truth, for mother love, from the feet and through the breast, Allah will shine forth and lead you the way to those that the young lady witnessed and testified. What more science is, what it was, it is today, and approaching 2018. For we are descendants of Morocco, born in America. Islam, I relieve the flow.
Islam.
Islam. All right. So that was our last caller.
Indeed. Can I make a brief announcement real quick?
Absolutely.
Just for the record, I just posted up a video on Mantis Views 29. The brother was speaking about the mothers of the nation and, the women, the divine feminine or feminine, you know what I mean? And the emphasis on the number 9. And the emphasis on the number 9. And I just wanted to say, I just put on Mantis Views 29 a video. Blue Pill, Ashley, our lovely sister Salima, and Sun Shrine, or Samana Alay, and we were speaking on these things. I trust that it provides a perspective on these things that even as a youth, young adult man can even take something from. Also, you know what I mean, the women, the sisters, can take something from and really analyze and break down. I had a little fun with the video, but it's also serious underlying tones on the conversation because of the situation that happened with the young sister out of Chicago. That should be a national example, you know what I mean, for young men and women. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I got life all figured out, but please don't let that not be an example of what the ancestors were saying previously about the men protecting the women, because the sister was so neglected, you know what I mean? And that's not even on no emotional. Forget all of the conspiracy theories. They may have validity just based off of what we could see. You know what I'm saying? She looked super neglected. And on the social side of things, because Noble Ali also spoke about social duties. When we step out, even if we're going to be doing things like that, to understand the responsibility to look out for one another. If we don't take anything else from that story, you know what I mean? Because it's sad, and I'm sure everybody has been a teenager before, experiencing with different things and, in life and quote-unquote so-called joys and curiosities. But to keep in mind certain wisdom and responsibility. Check that video out on Mantis Views 29. It was just uploaded. So we spoke about that, and one of the things that was significant to me, having the sisters there, is that this conversation took place at so-called, Marcus Garvey Park in so-called Harlem, right? And Marcus Garvey was the forerunner for Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And even he spoke about, quote-unquote, alcohol, liquor, and prohibition. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's Moors out there who don't vibrate on that level at all. But remind you, even if we don't have children, we have a generation of youth that's still us, and that they're going to need certain jewels for experiences they're going to experience, whether they're on your vibration right now or not. They eventually get there, but to not have them ignorant about certain things. It's an important video to check out. And, I trust that mothers, fathers put their children on to these things, opposed to keeping them in the dark and letting them find out for themselves the hard way on everything. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that lessons at home can help prevent out in the world. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's not a blame on anybody, but just check out the video. Islam.
Islam. All right, so let's see. We have a couple more callers. Let's see, caller 972-839. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Link.
It's on, family. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to make this statement. Miz, you read on point. About 9. Me and my mother were born the same month and the same day, which is the 9th. 9 and 9 is 18. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 7 and 2 is what? 9. So you are on the right path, because this 8 is 2018 approaching. 8 and 1 is what?
9. Here we go.
Islam is a mother and a mother, Rod Marab. Much love to you. Much shout out to you. All I can say, teach the baby, for mother without you, that will not and would not be me. Islam.
All right, Islam. All right, and I believe this is maybe our last caller, unless somebody else has something that they'd like to discuss. Caller 510-334. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Mexico.
Islam. This is Brother Anthony Bey. I'm calling again because I just finished reading Nomen Substantivum, and I was just looking at the part where you go into numerology a little bit, where it has 9, or I have the numbers 9 for day, 3 for month, life lesson as a 9. And, well, it says those who study numerology. I haven't started that study yet, so I'm just wanting to know which way do I go, or what does this mean for having, well, at least 2 9s for the harmonic vibration numerical, harmonic vibration number as 9, and then life lesson as a 9.
There's no number higher than 9. All numbers are broken down, but each number has a vibration as well, and you just figure out what your number is, and then numerology is a brief of astrology, so you can do a little study on that, and that's really what it is. But that's just to determine your vibration number or what number you're vibrating on. And then you have to do the study on the number. Mm-hmm.
Do the study on
what the numbers
so I can
are. Yes. Once you determine what it is.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good. And again, great show tonight.
All right. Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Thank you so much for your phone call. All right. So let's see. That concludes our broadcast. So we have no more questions. No one with their hand raised. Before we leave, though, we'd like to just let you know tomorrow is the first Wednesday of the month, which means we'll be reading or we'll be picking up our reading of White Cargo. So make sure and join us tomorrow. The broadcast will begin at 7:30. What we normally do is we try to get 2 chapters in by 9 o'clock, and then after that we discuss the information that has been provided. You can also go to the moorishnews.wordpress.com page or website, and you can download the book. Believe it or not, the book is in a PDF online. So you can download the book, and you can either follow along, or between now and tomorrow you can, read a couple of chapters you like, or just download the book so that you have it. If you want a PDF copy by tomorrow, you can do that. Otherwise, you can order the book from Amazon, which is where I got it from. And so I think that concludes our broadcast. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to you joining us tomorrow. And with that, peace and love. And thank you very much for joining us.
It's long.
It's long.
Mm-hmm.
That's long.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotext that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them gods don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they niggered us right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, love a poor Marcus Garvey, your ass. No, but you, your leading God body the man. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad. so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman with the plan of the Jesuits. Check my bloodline, but in time I bring the evidence. Self-governing body, so I don't need no president. Democrat, Republican, donkey versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov counter burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof, so you can yeah that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, oh you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Don't go inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening, or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor. And that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That description, maybe, black or Moor or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit about me. Roz Mariah, Anna Eve, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland. Listen to them speak. I done learned from the best. I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was like, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.